Golden rule number 3. And this goes a little bit to what you heard me saying before, but the rule is learn how to sail. What I mean by that is there is rowing and then there's sailing. It doesn't mean that rowing is bad. Rowing is sometimes needed. Rowing is that push where you do 30 tapes in 30 days, right? Rowing is that push where you do stuff that you never even thought was possible. But what is required when you row is a significant amount of effort. And when you give a significant amount of effort, you will have to rest. You cannot keep doing that. You cannot keep rowing. So just know if you're giving yourself, if you're rowing, if you're working really, really hard, you're gonna have to have a point where you give yourself a break, or you're going to give yourself a break by snapping, by giving up, by saying, I can't do this, by doing what I would do and check out. And that's kind of the part of the process. So our goal is understand rowing is a part of the process. Rowing is going to help you. But our goal, my goal, especially with the working actor, is to develop a system that gets you to sail, right? And what does that mean? It means you start implementing. First of all, it means you develop a system, habits, or a ritual that is effortless. That if you don't do that thing, you feel off, right? My ritual 10 years ago was terrible. Every day was different. I didn't even make my bed. That was the start of this entire plan. Was the first thing I started doing. I read a book, I think it was called The Power of Habit, was the first one, but it talked about making your bed and how making your bed snowballs into so many other things. Such a simple thing. I think they measured 3 people and they gave them different things. One of them was they gave them a trainer and they had to go to the gym every day. Somebody else was, I think they gave them money. And then there were some other measurements. And then one group, all they had to do was make their bed in the morning. And at the end of the 6 months of this thing, those people who had made their bed had significantly higher credit scores, were in better shape. All these things had happened from something that was so simple and easy that had kind of snowballed in their minds and the way they did things. And so sailing is a part of that process. So what I try to do is implement things, small things, little things into your ritual, into your habit, how you start your day. What are some of the next things you can do? Let's make that a habit. Let's make that a ritual, and then slowly add on to that. It's called habit stacking. So that when you don't do those things, something feels off, right? My system right now, which still isn't perfect, it's still a work in progress, but my system right now compared to where it was 10 years ago is I wake up at 5:30 a.m. I make my bed. I get my room back to 1. I go on the balcony, I make my coffee, I walk to the end of the pier, I read a page out of, right now it's the Tao Te Ching, but different things that kind of give my soul peace and give meaning. I come back, I watch the sunrise, I drink the rest of my coffee, I do come inside, I have, they call it the hardest thing. Make sure I know what that hardest thing for the day is that I'm going to do. I don't have to do it, I just have to label it and say, this is the thing I want to do. And then I start my day working off that. But that's my system that I've started that gets me going in the right direction and has worked so well for me. And if I don't do those things now in the morning, I feel off. That is my learning to kind of sail in a way. And what I would like to do eventually is start adding things in, like a small amount of voice work at the end of that routine, right? And if I get that to, it's like, maybe not even voice work, but creative time. Maybe at the end of the daily habit of me having the coffee and writing my gratitude, after that, I move it into a little bit of creative time, 15 minutes, 30 minutes of, it can be voice, it can be reading Shakespeare out loud, whatever you're working on to trying to develop your skill set. Maybe that's what you incorporate it in. But these are little things that you do normally that can just be implemented and every day, and over the long term, those stacking of those things is going to provide unbelievable results. So that is learning to sail. That's kind of the entire reason I set the working actor kind of stuff in motion, was to simplify things down into what I talked about before. You have your vision, right? You have who you are. You've developed who you are, your characters, what you represent, and then you have your 5 steps laid out in front of you. Here are the steps. All I need to do for this next step is this thing, and that gets me a little bit closer to the thing. Simplifying it down into this process to where you're like, okay, this is manageable. I know where I want to go, and I know the next steps that I need to take. And if we can simplify it and take away a lot of the noise, it will make things so much easier. So that is rule number 3: learn how to sail.